Welcome back to Rainbow Fish. A couple months ago I did a set at Harv's that was like a flower shop, and I thought it was so cute, and I wanted to kind of recreate that in front of Julia's house today. So I just have a little speed build. I tried to pull out everything I could possibly need since most of the stuff is in the other account, and I didn't want to have to go back and forth if I could avoid it. But what I just started with was this stall with a greenhouse custom design, and I had downloaded two, but I ended up liking this one better. And I'll put all the custom designs that I used in this build in the description. Honestly, I think if I had used more of those stalls, it may have been kind of a different feel. Just one kind of didn't really give it the greenhouse feel I was initially thinking of, but I like the way it turned out anyway. So I just went with those simple panels behind it to kind of complete the look, and then the one stall. And there's a lot of me just kind of fighting with this tree, which is why it didn't survive the whole build. So I set up the stall, and then I started adding some hedges. Initially, my thought for the neighborhood was that each house would kind of have its own fencing around it. But as you'll see in just a little bit, I ended up feeling like it kind of took away from some of what was happening in the build, and like you couldn't really see everything. So I ended up taking away parts of the hedge in front. I like the way that it looks on the side there, and I do like having a little bit of distinction kind of between villager yards, but I think having fencing all the way around, especially in as busy of a build as this ends up being, kind of was a waste of space. I don't know what it was about this green phone booth. I don't know that it makes sense for it to be there, but I love the way that it looks, so it was one of the first things that I put down. In this spot here, I did a lot of waffling about what to put there. I eventually got which is what I'm looking for here, a stone stool so that I could kind of play with levels. And then I tried out a lot of different things on the stone stool, which you see here. I try out a biotope planter, the cherry blossom bonsai, and then I like the way the anthurium plant looked, but I think I have every color of anthurium, and I couldn't find the one that I wanted. I felt like I wanted the red one, and so I started picking up all of them to try and find the one that I had in mind, and of course I couldn't at all. So this is the mad dash to find the red anthurium plant, and more on that later when I actually do find it, but I just got very frustrated after going through everything a couple times. So I'm just figuring out what to kind of do next. I wanted to put down some of the bigger items to kind of get a feel for where they would be. In this sort of awkward, like one tile space on the right side of her house, I just sort of filled it with different potted plants, and it's so nice that they are different heights so that they aren't kind of all in one line. Then I added a box sofa. I like to incorporate some sitting areas in the villagers' yards so that they can actually use them and they're not just for show. I'm trying to figure out what to put on top of that iron shelf, and I think I waffle a lot about that too. Redo it a bunch of times. So in looking for something to put on top of that shelf, I find an anthurium plant, and lo and behold, it was that red one I was looking for. So I go and try it on the stone stool that I initially wanted, and this is when I kind of decide that that tree just isn't going to work. And I, instead of chopping it down, I actually just moved it quickly. Started up the island designer so that I could fill in that little spot of paving, and then kept on chugging. Next, I put down a garbage bin, and I'm not a fan usually of putting down things that aren't functional in a build. I like all the seating to be accessible where you can actually use it, but I like the look of the trash can there, and of course it was green, so I wanted it in the build. I played with the garden wagon a lot. I decided I wanted it to be sideways so you could see kind of the full expanse of the flowers, because that's the best part, obviously. Went back to kind of figuring out what to put on the stall and the iron shelf. I mean, all the tabletop stuff, I kind of switched out all over the place, tried it in every different spot until I found where I liked it best. And even when I felt like I'd figured it out, I usually ended up changing it eventually. Here's where I changed the iron shelf to white. Just felt like it went a little better, especially with that black biotope planter on top, even though I'm pretty sure that changes eventually as well. Then I decided that those hedges in front were just not a good use of space, and I could get more out of it if they weren't there. So I kept a little one in the corner, and then I started with this outdoor bench, which I really liked the look of. It's customized to have the kind of wood, the dark wood tabletop. The flower stands were obviously like one of the best items for a build like this. And because they do take up a lot of room, I wanted to go ahead and get one down because I knew I'd have to kind of work around it. Watching this back, I probably will go back and add some little custom designs, like maybe ones with little flower petals or little flowers on the ground underneath the flower stand, just because when everything else is busy and looks filled in, sometimes that space underneath it just looks a little bit empty. Just trying out some different things here. Again, wishing that I could sort of slide it up under the flower stand almost. I liked the way that the Lily record player looked, and just kind of checking which way I liked it the best. This section at the front just went through so many different versions. I changed everything like the whole time, back and forth and back and forth. I would have loved to use the Bunny Day planter box. I really tried to make it work a couple of different times. I just couldn't quite get behind the eggs. I really wish there was an item like that had flowers in it. That would be just amazing. I would love that. But I surely kept trying it in lots of different places. Even the Bunny Day topiary, I have it turned the way that I have, just so that you can't really see the egg, so it isn't so obviously a bunny and isn't so obviously Eastery. Another item I really tried to make work is the rattan towel basket. I don't know why I like this item so much. I put it everywhere. I think it belongs in every build, but I tried it a couple places and it just didn't quite make it in this one. So like I said, lots of back and forth. I decided to try out putting some hedges in between, just by themselves. Except for when I did that, I realized that I wanted this one on the end to also be facing the same way. So I just had to pick that stuff up real quick and do that again. So trying lots of different things, added another hedge, and then tried again with that Bunny Day planter box. Then I got some green leaf piles, which I love that you can put them down and they don't inhibit you kind of walking through them. But what I really wish you could do is place other items on top of them, even if it's only overlapping a little bit. Like if I could just have a corner of the leaf pile under the flower stand or the Lily record player. That would be clutch. The Cosmo shower was another item that I really wanted to work and I just couldn't quite get it. It's really cute and I like it, and I try it in a couple different places, but it just didn't quite work out. And here with the leaf stool, again, I'm just trying to make sure things are at different heights and different levels. I just think that looks better. And back to messing with this front line again. I knew I wanted another flower stand somewhere, but I didn't really want it to be like at the same angle as the one in the back, just because I didn't want it to be too kind of repetitive. So I ended up actually turning it so you don't get the full like glory of it, but it just sort of adds a little bit of variation. So I wanted to put that pile of Zen cushions there, so I'm just customizing them to a pattern that kind of matches a little better. I kind of tried out all of the green ones basically that were available, but this didn't stick, and it actually, what I changed it to later, ended up being one of my favorite parts of this build. Again, I like things to be functional, so because if I had moved that over a little bit like that, no one would have been able to actually sit on it. So I just switched that with the stone stool and the bonsai tree so that you can actually access it. And then back to this front line of stuff. I actually ended up switching that Monstera with the one that was in the back right corner, just because I wanted the one with the lighter pot. Little bit of pocket organization just to kind of move this stuff I know I'm not going to use out of the way so that I could stop going over it again and again and again when looking for what I actually want. You can see there's just a lot of thinking going on, a lot of waffling. Something not quite right. I just ended up switching the cherry blossom bonsai and the regular bonsai. There was still just something not quite right about that front edge, and it takes a while for me to figure it out. So I decide it's the hedges, and I try and pick them up, and for some reason pick up everything around it first. But I tried it without the hedges. I really like the way that this leaf umbrella looked there, so that stays. I tried a bunch of different things here. Little did I know, the item that I really wanted was another outdoor bench. I tried a garden wagon, but I didn't like that color, and so I changed it to green, but then having two right near each other like that just didn't really work. Tried to move it over, still wasn't quite what I was looking for. I don't know why I wanted to use this shamrock soda so bad. Probably just because it was green, but there wasn't really a good place to have it put down. So here's where I start looking for, I know I had pulled out some benches, but here's where I start looking for another outdoor bench. Of course, I had two, and I only brought out one. So switched accounts. Katie came and did a little bit of cleanup and also dropped off the outdoor bench of my dreams. When I came back, I made some cherry blossom petal piles. And was able to put down the outdoor bench and really felt like, okay, that's what I was looking for. Just a little bit of symmetry and another place to put two little items. Perfect. Of course, being on this ledge, it made it a little bit difficult to put things facing the way I wanted them on the bench. So I tried out the leaf umbrella here. I was trying to get it at the right angle. And then somewhere in here I had a genius idea, which thankfully somebody else has had first, so they've already created a beautiful design for it. I wanted to have like a bag of potting soil, and I found this kind of Miracle Grow design, and I'll put the code in the description because it was a total game changer for this build. I'm in love with this design. People are endlessly creative in the Animal Crossing community, and I'm continuously in awe. So I looked for a cushion and couldn't find one, so I borrowed one from my room. Hi doggies. Bye doggies. Naturally can never grab the right thing the first time, but I added the potting soil to the bench, and then I thought, oh, I'll do the Zen cushions like that as well, so it looks like a stack of them which you can sit on. And like I said earlier, this little detail just really became like one of my favorite parts of the build. Then I just went and returned everything to how I had it before. And I'm trying to figure out if I would have room here for a cherry blossom pile. And it's smaller than the green leaf pile, so I did end up having room for it. Just kind of filled that little area in a little bit. Some last minute waffling, figuring out some extra little touches. And then it was complete. I'm so happy with how it turned out. Thanks for joining me. I think in every video I've uploaded, I've said the next video I'm gonna post is gonna be my shops build. And that's still not true. I have another villager yard build ready to go after this one. So that will be next. If you enjoyed, feel free to like or subscribe. And until next time, I will see you later.